Passing through the gates where we are taken to a higher realm. So no one wants to hear on that toxic cell. The bell of our ancestors where it's felt. Passing through the gates where we are taken to a higher realm. So no one wants to hear all that toxic cell. The bell of our ancestors where it's felt. Passing through the gates where we are taken to a higher realm. So no one wants to hear all that toxic cell. The bell of our ancestors where it's felt. Passing through the gates where we are taken to a higher realm. So no one wants to hear all that toxic cell. The bell of our ancestors where it's felt. Yes. What's up? Peace. Warhub zamatatu wu zamalu. You know what I'm saying? Maboika. Itu no kinati aono. En Taino, my brothers and sisters, bienvenido, hermanas y hermanos. I always put the women first. Okay? Welcome, sisters and brothers, man. Sisters and brothers. Let me do something here real quick. Yeah, I have my comedic thing on. This is a wasset. I'm going to give you a little brief description of what is a wasset and why I wear it sometimes. And this was worn in ancient Kemet. And the thing about this has weight on it, so it weighs you down. You know, make sure you don't, you stay grounded. You know, so hold on one second. I'm trying to get up on here. The phone is going a little chaotic over here. Come on, man. Where you at? Oh, God. That's up the top. I love you, my brother. He puts in some pictures in here. Oh, I gotta save that sucker. My brother, my friend. Yeah, we're gonna get started in a few minutes. Man, come on, bro. This phone, I got a 4G. I gotta get a 5G because this phone is just getting so slow. I'm next to my Wi-Fi too. I don't understand it. Okay, here we go. Alright, so I got my Facebook up and running. Make sure I can see who's on here, anybody comes on. And so, as you see by the description, we're going to talk about the serpent. And the reason why I picked this topic, because, I was watching a video, and the sister did a great job, she brought the thing up. But still, my people, we got to be very, very careful. And I'm doing this for my brothers in the UK. I'm doing this for my brothers all over, my Boricua brothers and sisters. Now, real briefly, the wasset, it weighs you down. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you don't get too high-headed over here. And it weighs you down. So the Kemetic priests or the Comitians wore this. You know what I'm saying? I got to fix it up, man. Come on, man. Do that to me. Yeah, it's bees. A bunch of bees. Weighs you down. I got my bees over here. My Kemetic thicker bead. Zaire, you know about that, right? You know about that. The thicker bead, right? Thicker. Thicker means to remember. Zakar. Thicker means to remember. So we thicker the 99 attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know what I'm saying? The 99 plus 1. That plus 1, we're going to have a conversation about that. Plus 1. Huwa Allah. Yahuwah Yaman Ya'alamu Ma Huwa Illa Huwa. Yeah, Zaid, I can kick it too. So yeah, we're going to discuss on that. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to have a good conversation about that. But this was the one about the serpent. And let me do something here. Give me 1 second because I want to pull up my Bible. I should pull up my Bible concordance and also my study Bible. I got Bible study Bible, and I can put in here serpent, and I pull up all the times that appears. The serpent appears 38 times in the King James Version. 38 times it appears. In the American Standard Version, 39. English Standard Version, 39. But the King James Version, it appears 38 times. Now, there's a lot of commentaries about it. Jamieson, Fawcett, you know what I'm saying, 113 different commentaries about the serpent, right? And we're going to define that. So let's hold back on this. Let's define the word serpent, right? And then we're going to give it to you in Aramaic, which is also in Arabic, in Aramaic, and we'll give you the definitions of that also. So let's see the definition. Let me share my screen. Share screen, share screen, share it. You know what I'm saying? I gotta go through all this navigation. Pretty soon I'll be able to do it differently, where I'm able to bring it up much differently through another monitor and just bring it on over. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, and when you define the word serpent, right? To have a conversation, you got to define word. You got to see where people are at. You got to see what definitions they are carrying, right? So mainly in literary, the word serpent is a noun. It's a large snake, right? The serpent in the biblical name is the biblical name for Satan. Satan, backwards, Natas, the Natas, or Satan. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. You know what I'm saying? Protect me from Shaitani Arajim. A dragon or other mythical snake-like reptile. Fire-breathing or flying serpents, whatever. And we're going to talk about some dragons are considered to be serpents. It also can be used as a sly or treacherous person. Not the treacherous three, y'all. Just kidding. A sly, a treacherous person, especially one who exploits a position. They exploits a position of trust in order to betray it. Okay? That's the definition of it. Now, historical, the serpent was a bass wind instrument made of leather-covered wood in the 3 U-shaped turns with a cup-shaped mouthpiece and a few keys. It was played in the military, in church bands from the 17th and 19th century. Check that out. Check that out. So that's when you deal with the acoustical serpent in terms of acoustical, right? And historical. A bass wind instrument made of a leather-covered wood in 3 U-shaped turns, right? And it was played in church. It was played in the military in the 17th and 19th century, okay? So serpent, again, mythological, in mythology and religion, is a monstrous ocean creature, right? The snake is religious rite and mythological contents. Notable one in the Old Testament, the Garden of Eden. We're going to look into that, right? Now, and I'm also going to bring in the Bible Concordance so we can look at that also. So we define, so there we have defined in 30 minutes. Yeah, true, it's going to be on 30 minutes. Hey, you got your granddaughter listening, so I have to be very, very careful what I say. Not to scare them. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to scare any of our youth, but they need to be armed with proper knowledge. You know what I'm saying? So when we define already what serpent is, right? We took it there, right? In terms of that. Now let's look at the biblical content of it. We're not going to do the Quran, say. I will have to go into the Quran. I got a matter of fact, I got to download a PDF like Quran. You know what I'm saying? So I can practice a little more out of it. But when you go into religious texts, again, let me try to. Let me share this. We're gonna go into the biblical text, okay? Let's give it a second. Yeah. So we're defining. Here we go. So you know that it exists. It's mentioned 38 times. Okay. In Genesis 3:1, the serpent was more subtle than any beast. Do we need to define what subtle is? Of any beast of the field which the Lord God had made, right? The serpent. Let's look up the word subtle, because again, I want to make sure that we stand to reason certain words so we get the definition so the knowledge grows, right? So, excuse me one second. Let me do this. Subtle, right? And to the youth, this is how we study. Subtle. What's going on here? Subtile. No, that's not that. That's not the word. Subtle. Oh, wait a minute, y'all. Sorry about that. Let's look at this again. How you spelling that is? Yes, subtile. So where did that word come from? Do I need to go into Bible Concordance and check that out? Because I spelt it here, but it's not showing. Let me see. Subtile. Yeah. ¿Qué pasa? No. This is so interesting. I'm shocked that my dictionary is not. Let's do it like this with a capital S. Nope. Subtile body. Subtile is a quasi-material aspect of the human body, being either solely physical or solely spiritual. So subtile means it's that midway, right? Into very esoteric, occult, and mystical teaching. So that is subtile. There's your subtile body, right? Is to be subtle. To be subtle is to be not being, again, too metaphysical or not being too physical. Just in that midpoint. That's what subtile is. So this, when you look back over here, when we go back, you know what I'm saying, it was more subtle than any beast of the field. You know? So it's giving the serpent a particular character and personality. All right? So the woman said unto the serpent, she's talking to the serpent. So who is the serpent? That we may eat of the fruit of tree of good and evil, right? How does that whole quote goes? We may eat of the fruit of trees of the garden, but the fruit of the tree in the midst of the garden, God has said, ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. Now this is biblical, okay? This is how they defined it. And we're going to impact that. You know what I'm saying? We need to arm our youth with certain knowledge. You know what I'm saying? That's so important. Hold on 1 second. No, I didn't mean to do that. Let me bring this back up. So as you can see, there is many times that this word appears. What's happening here? Many times that this word appears. Right? How do I go back? I'm bugging out of the way. Coño, ¿qué pasa aquí? Well, I lost it. Anyway, you get the picture. 38 times, serpent. But I need to bring it back up again because let me do this. I need definitely to bring this back again. Okay, here we go. So 38 times you see the serpent here, you see the serpent, the woman. God said, now this is talking about that particular story about that particular serpent, right? And we're going to look into that, right? And then in Exodus, when it mentions the serpent, right? And he cast it on the ground and became a serpent. That serpent is different than the serpent that's in the garden, you see? But that's where the misconception comes in. People will look at serpent and think that 38 times it's all the same. No, you cannot make that claim. It is not the same. That's a different serpent that speaks about in Genesis, and then here in Exodus you have a totally different serpent. And then you go to Numbers, make thee a fury serpent is different as you go on. Job, and you go on to Ecclesiastes, different serpent. Even Leviathan, that crooked serpent, he shall slay the dragon as is in the sea. A different serpent. This is a serpent of the sea. All right? Different. So you cannot make the claim that all the serpents of the Bible was of the same. Now, they did spell it the same, and they used the same word called Nakash, right? When you go into Bible Concordance, right? You got Nakash. I hope I'm not losing you when you're following me, especially for the youth listening, right? That we already established here, Bible Concordance. We already established, and this is the Bible Concordance. We're going to look at it on Genesis 3. Let me see, Genesis 3. Yeah. Here it goes. What we're doing right now is defining, and we're already establishing, okay, that the serpent of the Genesis is different. Different. That's allegory, metaphor. It's different than a serpent that will appear in the Exodus, or the serpent that appear in the sea, right? All those reptiles. Different. But why did they give the name serpent or Nakash to the being in the middle of the garden? Because he was subtle, right? His character and personality. Actually, a bit well balanced, if you ask me. But anyway, if you look up now the serpent, and you look up the concordance of it, Nakash, a snake, from its hiss, because it hissed, right? It became Nakash. Nakash. Now they do put this in all of the other, in the scriptures, right? Because they refer to that. Excuse me 1 second. 1 second, 1 second. Disruption. But yeah, you know what I'm saying? So when you look at it, you know what I'm saying, you see the difference, right? So you see how, hey great, what's going on? Baja la música un poco. Let me get rid of that music then. Okay, how's that? I'm sorry. I just said just trying new things, but yeah. So yeah, so the serpent shows up differently. It can be allegorically, metaphor, which means, again, we could define that. You know what I'm saying? We could define allegory and literal and all that stuff. But I think I'm going to do that for another class. Here we're going to talk about the serpent. So the serpent word, they use Nakash. It's throughout the scriptures they use Nakash. Why would they put that Nakash in there? To represent a character personality, at the same time represent an actual snake or a dragon. You got to ask yourself that question. Why would they interject that? Okay? If in the garden this was a being, and different schools of thought have different account of what a serpent is and what that refers to. For instance, the Native Americans, and let me just give you a backstory and backtrack. The our ancient ancestors used to view the skies, right? The multiverse. And even in today's day and time, what do you have? You have stars, right? And then you have what you call a shooting star or a comet. They didn't quite understand what was a comet, right? But if you look at the comet, you see this fiery ball of light and you see a tail, right? So when they're looking up in the sky and they see this ball, a comet that comes into the atmosphere of this galaxy, what the comet also marked a different time for them. And they seen that it affected their environment. It affected a lot of things. And a lot of them thought that because they saw this comet, it was appearing, this comet, it was time to change. You know what I'm saying? So it looks like a snake with a tail. And it moved, or the comet moved, right? Especially when they seen stars moving in a very different way. You know what I'm saying? And it could have been, and some school of thought said they were crafts of beings, right? What they call angelic beings, seraphim and cherubims, who were, in other schools of thought, would have been extraterrestrials coming here. And these people viewing them. And a lot of time the Native American with the Kachinas, they said that they were the Kachinas and they guided us to make a move somewhere else. And then when they see they made a move because of the comet affecting the geology, the geology and affecting the environment, they saw floods and they saw different event occurring. So they knew all right, the marking of these extraterrestrial things. So that's another school of thought, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of this, has been studied and it's coming back, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of YouTube videos on it, and you can see about the Native American and what they believe in and stuff like that, and even the African, indigenous people, you know what I'm saying, saw this, you know what I'm saying? Because they were in contact. They were viewing the multiverse. They were viewing the cluster of stars and viewing how it affected the environment, you know what I'm saying? So this is another way of saying, but of course, what they did was interpret it, right, and took it as to be a serpent and gave it the characteristic of that, gave it to be a fiery serpent. That's the reason why you go to China. What do? They dress in the dragon, and you see them dancing around and firecrackers and stuff like that to mark what? A new year. Same concept. To mark a new year. They just took that particular natural nature phenomenon and they reproduced it in a physical form and kept it as a rituals. So to understand a lot of rituals and to understand a lot of biblical texts, you can't but help to also stand to reason how our ancestors view things around them, natural nature. So when you look at the Kemetic about the same, so a serpent is not an evil thing. Not by no means. It's not. It's just taken on it, an evil connotation because again, the different experiences that people have when they view this. I gotta be conscious of the time because I'm not gonna stay here too long. I don't want to keep going. I got 15 minutes before the playoff. I'm sorry. I got to get my football on and check out with my brothers. But anyway, wanted to get clear now. Introduce that the definition of serpent. You gotta look at the definition and you gotta see what's coming from, right? And then you gotta see around you of it's a character, personality, crafty people. And sometimes crafty people can be very, very beneficial. They could teach you something. Like they say, be wise as a serpent, gentle as a dove. You know what I'm saying? Being crafty. There are people that they misuse that their craftiness again they use their craftiness again to your trust, to betray your trust. They can use their craftiness and they can betray your trust. Okay, that's when it's you. But everyone, even when you look at a child, always tends to be a little crafty, a little subtle. It's like give you like, hey, they're in that mid ground. You know what I'm saying? They'll bring up things spiritually, but then they'll bring up things spiritually that's to give you something physically. You know what I'm saying? I could be and it's a school of thought. Craftiness is an inner quality that we have, right? That craftiness. And that's why the ancient Kemetic had this. I don't have one here right now, but it's the serpent, because the serpent, the cobra, when you put it in a bag, right? When you put it and it's in your feelings and your emotion, you put it underneath, you submerge that snake, it goes to sleep. Or it goes calm. Not sleep, but it's calm. It's awake, but it's calm. And it's there and it's loving it. It's there until you open up the bag and you wake it up and then, or you give it tones. And you see it, right? That's your subconsciousness, that those neurons that are submerged, that awareness you have in your feelings and emotions that are being risen goes to the heart, right? And then it goes to your ideas and concepts. So most of the pharaohs, the kings, that was a symbol of saying, I am fully awake. I'm aware. Both my feelings, my intuitions matches my ideas and concept or what I think about some particular subject or object or person. I'm alert. I'm alert. You know what I'm saying? So that's the significance of that. You know what I'm saying? It's, again, it's not that it's evil. It only becomes evil when a crafty person that has the character personality of a snake uses it and betrays your trust. Right? But they can use that craftiness and be beneficial to give you a lesson. A lesson. A lot of times the ancient priests, they were so crafty, and that's when and that's what I like about the when she brought up about parables, how that character, Jesus Christ in the Bible, in the New Testament, how he answered a lot of things with parables. Not giving them the right answer, but answering it in parables so that you can think. That's being crafty, because that's giving an esoteric sense, an ethereal idea, right? To see how that matches with your feelings, your physical sense, and your feelings and your emotions. You know what I'm saying? So that's just an introductory, into the serpent, and we're going to impact it more. So we spoke about first. We define serpent, and we stand to reason that the serpent that was in the garden is not the same serpent throughout. That's why people say, that serpent was Jesus Christ, was considered a serpent. He was the one in. Well, there's schools of thought that talk about Tahuti being that particular crafty person that was talking to Eve. There's different schools, right, of thought. But you cannot say that the character and personality, if you think Jesus Christ was historical and literal, or was actual person, was the same person in the garden. You can't do that. Doesn't make sense. But now if you're talking about character and personalities, that's another conversation. We can speak about that. I shook. Hansu. Yeah, what's up? Getting ready for the game in a little bit. Let me see. I got 10 minutes, y'all. 10 minutes. Anyway, a couple of minutes, because I'm going to keep this one short. So, again, being crafty, and through all our cultures, African spirituality, all that, it was a symbol. It was a symbol, and it wasn't such a bad symbol. You know what I'm saying? It only became bad or evil, again, like I said, if you use your craftiness to betray somebody's trust, or the trust of humanity, or the trust of your family, or within yourself. You know what I'm saying? You mislead yourself. You know what I'm saying? That's when it becomes evil. It's the opposite. But you can use that power of being subtle, or that craftiness, that power, you can use it to benefit you and to contribute to humanity. It can be done, yes. And we're going to talk about that further on the next one. You know what I'm saying? We're going to speak about that further on the next one. Okay? So again, and not a shout out. I don't want to throw some shots at my people out there. You know what I'm saying? This young lady, but she did what she had to do. She did it. But then again, you got to understand the order of things and what order you're coming in, because they do have the order of Set, and they do have the order of the serpent, what they call the order of the dragon, right? The dragon, the order of the dragons. You know what I'm saying? That's an ancient order, and it traces all the way back to the order of Set. You know what I'm saying? Even Set wasn't, maybe Hansuka maybe later on help me out of the relationship between the serpent, or what would be called Anupa, or the serpent, and Set, who was the brother of Osiris, who killed Osiris. So you can impact this. It says, well, Set was a crafty person, right? Represents that. Kill Assad, who was more a unifier. When you look at that story, and that's for another conversation. We're gonna go deep into that. But yeah, you cannot say that in the biblical sense. And you look at the garden, the serpent, he lied or he didn't lie. Did he tell the truth? He told the truth, but he made that lie to be so fair-seeming that it became like a truth. So in some schools of thought, they'll say, you will not die physically, but you'll die spiritually. It changes your character and personality. And we're going to have a discussion on that. And just to give you a prerequisite of that, right, they call it spiritual dieters, right? spiritual caca, spiritual debris. And that, in the garden, that tree of good and evil, when you look at the mass of it, there's another school of thought, is that was the poppy plant. Right? Because you got to look at the location of Genesis. Then you got to look at you got to go back and you got to look at the environment and the culture of that time. And today's day and time, they still cultivate the poppy plant. And the poppy, you got poppy seed, what they use in bread. So it's good for food. It's a seasoning. It's beautiful to the eye. If you ever see, I'm going to bring up pictures of the poppy plant on the next one. Well, you see, it's beautiful. It's colorful. Different colors, right? And when you ingest it, you think you're wise. You look, it shifts your character and personality, and you become crafty. Crafty. If you ever talk to a junkie, somebody, a heroin user, how crafty they can be, right? They crafty, have a conversation, they think they know it all. Oh man, my friend. It's a character and personality that you got to really look at it. So that's another school of thought, and we're gonna talk. I'm gonna speak about that. I'm gonna tell you about that story. We're gonna home in on Genesis and about the other schools of that, so we can impact it and really tear it. We can really look at it from different perspectives. Anyway, peace and blessings to you all. I hope that was okay, and I hope it wasn't. Other word crafty meaning. Okay, you want the okay? Let me do this real quickly for my brother Zaid. Hold on 1 second here. And okay, hold on 1 second. I'm with you. Crafty. What is meant to be crafty, right? And let's look it up. Yeah, let's look it up here in the dictionary. Hold up, I'm gonna pull this out. Crafty. We already looked at subtle body. Let's look up. Ay, Dios mío. Sorry, y'all. My dictionary here. Let's look up the word crafty. Okay. Crafty. Okay. When you define the word crafty, means to be clever at achieving one's aim by indirect or deceitful methods. A crafty crook, fate, and injury just to escape from prison. All right, that's being clever. Involving the making of a decorative object or other things by hand. A craft, that's another definition. It's an adjective, right? All right, it's an adjective. So, and if you use it as an adjective, then, it's clever at achieving one's aim, right? And if you look at here, mom knew them to be crafty rogues, right? Cunning, skillful, artful, deviant. Cunning. You got to have a little bit of craft. Even when you play conga, that's being a crafty. That's clever because it's like, you have this beat, boom, boom, bing, bing, boom, boom, bing, 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 bing. You bring crafty. You know what I'm saying? You're manipulating those rhythms. All right? But it also could be tricky. You could do a lot of tricks, right? Dishonest. That's another thing. Underhand, cheating, deceitful. So it takes on many different Janus face. You know what I mean? Pale, Janus, like a green face, a yellow face. Yeah. Sharp, scheming, calculating, designing, evasive. So it carries. Like a crafty is a chess program written by, that's the program. Okay. So yeah, that is the definition of crafty. Being clever at achieving one's aims by indirect or deceitful methods. You're clever. It's okay to be clever sometimes. You need to be clever. You know what I'm saying? You need to be clever in some industries. You need to be clever to be a lawyer. You know what I'm saying? You need to be clever to work in an office. You need to be clever. It's one of the qualities we have. And the more crafty the person is and clever that does not that achieve their aim by not betraying a person's trust, they excel very much in their industry, in their office, or whatever. Okay, so I hope I answered that for you, my brother Zay. Yeah. Kepra Shuasep, what's the meaning of our name? Just asking out of respect. Oh, Kepra is this. Kepri? Kepra. Kepri is the scarab. Transformation to Ra. You see the Ra, the sun up here? Kepra. And Shu is the wind, right? The wind, the force. And Asap is the door. Okay? So, in other words, in this doorway, again, like my brother Hansu, you got to check out his podcast when he spoke about the Stargate and the doorway into the mind, the Mustaqim, the pathway to that doorway of Mustaqim. Well, in that doorway, okay, I'm transform myself with the power of Ra, with the force of Shu, into the doorway, cosmic door. That's another way of putting it, but yeah. Like getting over is being crafty. Yeah, getting over is being, in a way, crafty when you try to get over. But some people are not so crafty. They try to get over, but they get caught. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? But it's one of the character personality that we have attributed, and I'm gonna speak about that later on when we go into the tree of good and evil and the poppy seed and the opium, how that infused in our blood. So we have opiates in our body. Oh yeah, I could bring it chemically. We have opiates in our body naturally that were put on there because of our ancestors and what they did. So it carried on genetically. So yeah, so we develop a lot of character and personality. That's deep. We can go into that. Anyway, let me let you go. Zaid, Masalam. One more minute. I'm gonna check out who you got. You got the Bengals playing, and who else? Right? I don't know. I don't know, but I think the Bengals are playing, right? Yeah, the Bengals definitely playing at 3:00, and then there's another one at 6:30. So yeah, let me go ahead and let me do that. I might have to run to the store, get some beer. What do you think? Should I have some beer today? Have a little beer. I can't do too much beer, but my son does beer. Sit down with him, watch the game, have a little beer. Do the man thing. You know what I'm saying? Do the man thing. So anyway, Wadu, my shashat re. I love you. Hansu, my brother. Love you, Kevin Gray. Peace and blessing to you, Zae. Masalam, much love. Ishak is that divine love. Ishak is like we say Sabi Ashuk. And Ishq is that divine love. Not the Ib. Ib is a physical love, right? Right? Habub, physical love, habub, right? But the Ishq, that divine love, okay? Meet you there. Peace and blessings to you all, man. Peace.